Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm really excited because I'm going to be doing a full face of Wet n Wild. I've been wanting to do a full face of a drugstore brand for a while now. I just didn't know which brand I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do drugstore because I just got out of college. Most of my friends are either still in college or also just got out of college. And a lot of us don't really have money to be doing like a full face of Hourglass or a full face Dior. So I decided to go with Wet n Wild because I love their product. They are my favorite drugstore brand. I think that they give the best quality for the price that they put out. Sometimes you do see items at the drugstore that are other brands that are upwards of $12, $13, sometimes even $14. Whereas Wet n Wild generally stays within the $2.99 to $7 or $8.99. You almost always under $10. I feel like it's very rare to find something above $10 from Wet n Wild. I can't even think of anything that I have that's above $10. So I love their brand. It's affordable and they give great product. I always recommend it to my friends if they're looking for something new to try. They're looking for a highlight, they're looking for a blush, a foundation. I always recommend Wet n Wild because you're just spending a few bucks if you don't end up liking it. It's not as big of a deal as if you went to Sephora or you went to Ulta and you tried out a product for a while and then decided, actually I don't like it anymore. So I'm really excited, and if you guys want to see me smack a full face of Wet n Wild, then stay tuned. So I went to the store, I picked up a few items. I already had a couple of Wet n Wild things. I just wanted to finish out, my collection, gather everything together so that I could do a full face. The only thing that I could not find is a concealer. They did not have a Wet n Wild concealer at the store that I went to, so I'm going to have to use a different concealer, but other than that, I'm going to keep it all Wet n Wild. So the first thing that I'm going to use is the Photofocus face primer. I got the Dewy version because I'm not really much of a dewy wearer. I very much like matte looks on my skin tone. That could just be because I have dry skin and I'm so used to having more of a matte look that when I do wear a dewy look, I feel oily because I'm not used to it. I don't really understand oil versus dewiness. And so I decided I really wanted to challenge myself, and all my other primers are mattifying primers, or some are more moisturizing primers, but I don't have any dewy primers. So I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to wear a dewy primer today. See, it kind of looks like a luminizer. I'm going to really work that into my nose because my nose is my biggest problem area. That's where I have the most pores, all my blackheads. That's where my dryness is the worst. That's where my texture is the worst, and so I like to really work my primer in there to make sure that it fills all my pores. So you can definitely see that this is a very dewy, more shiny, shimmery type of primer. I think it looks really nice. It doesn't feel gross. It feels tacky, which is good. You want your primer to be tacky because then it's going to stick to your foundation, or your foundation will stick to your face better. So it feels good so far. Now I'm going to go in with my foundation. I am using the Photofocus foundation. It has this little paddle that you can apply with, and you can just put it straight onto your face rather than putting it on your beauty blender or putting it on your finger or putting it on your brush and then dabbing it on your face, which I really like because I'm lazy. So with this foundation, I like to use a sponge instead of a brush. I feel like when I use a brush with this foundation, I get more inconsistencies, or I get more brush strokes than I do when I use a brush with other foundations. So for me, I like to use a sponge. So I just finished my foundation and my concealer, and I'm such an idiot because I bought the Wet n Wild mattifying powder, but they didn't have any other powders, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll just be dewy like in some of these areas, but not my under eye or my T-zone. We'll see. I've never used this powder before. but I feel like I've heard good things about it. We'll see. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, that foundation does smell like paint. Like straight up paint. But it's worth it because the smell goes away and it looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and bronze my face up. I'm using the Wet n Wild MegaGlo Contouring Palette. I definitely prefer to bronze with this because my skin tone requires more of a gray contour, and this is definitely more of a warmer, orangier contour, and so it looks better on my skin tone just as a bronzer. I like bronzing because I think that it really adds color to my face since my face is so pale. But for me, it's so unrealistic because I don't get any type of bronze. If I were to have a realistic bronzer on my face, I would be using blush. And it would be like a deep red blush because I go straight lobster. What's a tan? I don't know. Never had one. Okay, so next I'm going to put some blush on my face. I'm going to put some blush on my cheekies. I'm using the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush in the shade Pearlescent Pink. I've had this for a long time and it is very loved. I love this blush. I think it's beautiful. It's really natural looking, but you can build it up to show a lot of color, and it just applies like a dream, and so I love it. Next up, I'm going to prime my eyes with the Photofocus eyeshadow primer right here. I think I remember when this came out, people saying that it was a dupe for the Urban Decay eye primer. You know, the one that comes in multiple colors like Enigma and Sin. You get the little trial when you buy the eyeshadow palette. I think I remember people saying that. So for my eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette. I was attracted to this palette because it's much warmer than the other one. So I'm going to use this shade right here. How do YouTubers do this? I feel like they're pros at like looking in their camera and like looking in their viewfinder and knowing which direction they're going in. Not me. Got the wrong girl. So I'm going to use this cream white shade, and I'm going to set my eyeshadow primer so that my shadows will all blend together more easily and the colors will pop, and it'll just make life a heck of a lot easier. Okay. Before I forget, I'm actually going to do my eyebrows because I don't want to do that after my shadow. I picked up the Wet n Wild retractable brow pencil. This is in the shade Ash Brown, which is the only shade that they had. It looks really similar to the Anastasia brow pencil, the triangle one. I tend to like brow pencils that are more pointed. I'm not that crazy about the ones that are triangle shaped because I feel like it's harder to create the brush strokes that look like hair. It's harder to get those fine details in. It doesn't really feel very waxy to me, which is fine. I like my pencils to be in between waxy. I don't like them to be crazy waxy to where I feel like I have to push really hard to get product, but this feels very creamy. If you push too hard, it gets a little bit chunky. The color's definitely not bad for these. I'm not crazy about the product because of the applicator, the shape of it, and how easy it is for the product to get used up. It comes off kind of in chunks, and then I would have to really like blend it out. So now I'm going to go back to the eyes. I'm going to finish those up. I'm just putting this top transition shade into my crease. Okay, so now I'm going to use the bottom transition shade right here. I'm going to use the same brush because I'm pretty much just putting it in the exact same location. I'm just warming up the top transition shade since it is a little bit cooler. So now I'm going to use this shade right here. So I'm focusing that just a little bit lower than where I placed the last two transition shades. So now I'm going back with the bottom transition shade and blending just above where I put that color, because when I blend a lot, or anyone blends a lot, the shades kind of blend away. So I'm just putting that back where it belongs. So next I'm going to go in with this deeper shade. This is shade 2 and this is shade 3. So I'm going in with shade 3 and putting it just a little bit lower than where I put shade 2. I'm going in with the same shade with just a pencil brush because my other brush is just a little bit too big and I couldn't get quite into the inner corner the way I wanted to. So still, then again, going back with the transition, blending. I want to make sure everything is very blended and seamless. I don't want any harsh lines because I'm sensitive, okay? I don't like those harsh lines. Next, I'm going to use this shimmer shade right here, shade number 7, and I'm going to put that in the middle of my lid. It doesn't really pop the way I like, so I'm going to spritz it. Then I'm going to go back in with a mix of shades 2 and 3 and just kind of blend those in. Again, no harsh lines. Please and thank you. So for mascara, I'm going to be using the Lash Renegade mascara. Honestly, I bought this because it looks cool. So it looks like this, kind of like a black diamond. Pretty neat. It's got the wand with the little ball at the end. I'm not really sure if that's to be more detailed on your inner corner or what the purpose of having the little ball at the end is, but we're gonna find out if it works. Okay, I'm so silly, I forgot to do my lower lash line, so I'm just gonna do my lower lash line real quick, and I'm just gonna use basically the same shades that I used on my lid, just on my lower lash line. Okay. So I feel like this mascara makes my lashes look like super fluffy. It's very volumizing. I accidentally added too much on this lash. I got a little crazy. I was testing the limits. I was seeing how far I could go and I went too far. But they look they look really fluffy, very separated. It's not a very clumpy mascara, but it is a little bit difficult to apply on the lower lashes, so I would probably just use these on my upper lashes. I think the ball is what makes it so hard to apply, because when you're like trying to get in like your lower lash line, you're afraid this ball is going to poke your eye out. Okay, so next I'm going to go on to highlight. I'm going to use the Wet n Wild MegaGlo highlight in Botanical Dream. This is a very popular highlight. It's very pretty. Glossy, glossy. Now I'm going to use the MegaLast liquid Catsuit lipstick. This is in the shade Give Me Mocha. I'm not sure about this color with the look, but This shade definitely looks a lot less mocha than I was expecting. I was expecting more brown in the color, in the shade, but that's okay. I still think it's a very pretty color. I don't know if I would wear it with this eye look, but it's the very pretty color in general to wear on a daily basis. I'm going to add a little bit of Rebel Rose just to see what happens. Okay, so my final thoughts are, I really like the primer a lot. I definitely will reach for that again. Foundation I use all the time. The bronzer I use on a regular basis. I really enjoy that. I did like the powder. I feel I don't see any creasing. I don't really have many issues. Yeah, I think that the powder did a really good job. Blush, obviously I love it. The highlighter, obviously I love it. The eyeshadow palette, I really did like, and I like it a lot. I love the shade number 2. I love shade number 2, this one right here. And I really like this one too. I think that together those create a really pretty shade. Yeah, I think I will use this again. This would be great to travel with because it's got a couple of different looks in it. So yeah, I did like this. The gold shade's not as pigmented as I want, but it's not bad once you spritz it with some setting spray. I think it does a good job. And then the mascara, I like the mascara on my top lashes a lot. I have very like wimpy lashes. My lashes kind of point straight down, and these did a good job of showing my curl. My lashes only hold curl for about 3 minutes and then they go straight down, but this did a really good job of showing some shape in my lashes. But I wouldn't use it again on the lower lash line. I would pack, if I was going somewhere and packed this, I would pack a second mascara for my lower lash line because it's really difficult to get the wand, that ball part of the wand, in the inner corner of my lower lashes. And then the lipstick is pretty transfer proof. There's just a little bit right there, but I think that's from where I applied over top. I like the color, but the liquid lipstick is very drying on me. Like when it starts off feeling sticky and then it dries completely matte, but when I like lick my lips, they feel kind of rough and crusty because it's very drying. But I think if I just put a lip balm on underneath, I wouldn't have as much of an issue. So I'm going to try them again with the lip balm underneath with like a chapstick or some type of moisture on my lips, because my lips are very dry in general. So it could just be my lips that are like that, and it could just be the liquid lipstick. So I'm going to try a couple other things, but for the most part I'm really happy with how this turned out. I absolutely love Wet n Wild. If anyone is looking for some new makeup to try out, they want to try a new brand, they want to get into makeup, I definitely suggest going with Wet n Wild. The most expensive thing I bought today was the mascara, and it was $6. Even my foundation I got on sale for like $3.40. So yeah, I think that Wet n Wild is a great brand, especially if you're just trying out. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys come back. Thanks. Bye.